Hey everyone, I want to tell you about a great way to rep your love of Black Woman Be Well by purchasing a shirt and tagging us on social media in your BWBW gear. Visit our website at blackwomanbewell.com to secure your shirt today. Today is a special episode because although BWBW is a podcast by and for women, I am in a room full of dudes. Today's episode is entitled Just One of the Guys, and we'll get into what this episode is all about in a second, but I just want to first introduce the guys in the room. And I was very intentional about who I wanted to invite in the show. I knew that I would be picking guys from my own life. So I thought I'd invite people from different areas of my life. And also importantly, I wanted to invite people that I knew that could hold an intellectual conversation. So the people here are people I can trust. And also guys that I kind of trust y'all won't get nervous on the mic. So that's also helpful. So first in the room, I want to introduce Mr. Divad Brady. He is my fam. And when I say fam, I'm like legit. He's actually my family. He's my cousin.
Real cousin.
He's also the owner of The Fresh Lab, online t-shirt company. So you can visit his store at thefreshlab.com. Another little tip, he's also handling the merch for Black Women Be Well. So when you support him, you support us. Also in the room is Mr. Johnathan Simmons, childhood friend, my fellow Pisces brother, fellow foodie, fellow world traveling partner, my homie. We've known each other for a long time, since childhood. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. John Q. Pierce, or as you're known professionally, just Q, right?
John Q.
John Q. Okay, let me get it right.
Like the movie.
Yeah. Yes.
John Q is actually a colleague of mine. We work at the same institution together, but on different campuses. So it was only recently that I met him. But we've already had like really deep conversations. I always appreciate your perspective. So I thought it would be really cool to have you. So I'm glad that you're here joining us today.
Well, thank you.
So listeners, you got a childhood friend, family, and a colleague. So I hope these different perspectives will be interesting.
Very. Should be fun.
And just to be clear, you're all men of color. That's how you identify, correct? Sometimes you got to ask these questions nowadays.
Educated men of color.
Hey!
Yes.
Love it. Love it. So I already prepped you guys ahead of time about the topic, what we're focusing on. We're talking about relationships, but specifically talking about toxic relationships and dealing with the breakup process. So prior to this, the girls have already recorded some stuff. And we talked about like why don't women leave toxic relationships when they're in it? And once you have left, how do you pick up the pieces when you feel broken? But I wanted to have a special conversation with just men in the room because I thought it'd be cool to get your perspective, and so that our listeners could also hear the guys' perspective, how you guys go through the process. I think it's just helpful to know, both sides of the story. So I want to get us started. And I want you guys to introduce yourselves, but you're going to introduce yourselves in a different way. I want you to say your name, and if you mind sharing what was one of your hardest breakups. And you don't have to go into details, like we don't need names or anything. But go as deep as you want to. So whoever wants to go first can.
I'll go first. My name is Divad Brady. Those know me as Vadi, Script. I don't know. Everybody has nicknames for black people, but I could say my hardest breakup, and when I say hardest breakup, it has a lot to do with you not understanding that you did something wrong. You know, a lot of people, that's what they're struggling with. They feel that they did something right. They did something right. Why is this affecting me in this way? Not knowing that it's you. You're fighting yourself, really. And that's how I feel, because I've been married for 17 years. You know what I'm saying? And you could say there's breakups on and off. We weren't together for 17 years. You know, but there was breakups, and the hardest times that I had, not just being alone from my wife, but fighting what I was fighting inside of me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's so interesting. Like, I don't think a lot of people think of it that way. Your hardest breakup, was analyzing how your place in it, like, or your place or your role in the breakup.
Exactly, because you understand, like, if you break up with somebody and you know that you have done everything in your ability to keep that person, to not say keep her happy, because she has to be happy herself, you understand? But if you know that you've done everything you can in your ability and you couldn't do any more in your ability, it's more easier for you to move on. Mm-hmm. When you feel that you didn't do that and you see that that person has moved on, or say they haven't moved on, vice versa, they with somebody else, you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, you're looking at that like, oh, I knew I could have did something better. So it makes it harder for you to just move on.
But that takes a lot of self-awareness. Like, you have to be self-aware to actually realize you've done everything you've done.
Of course.
Like, don't,
Fact.
you know, I feel like sometimes guys feel like they've done everything, and you're like, well, from the girl perspective, like, no, like, here's what you didn't do, and it's like, nah, it's not that. Or you give excuses for why you didn't do it.
And I talk for myself, because I'm not every man, you know. I talk from what my experience.
Right.
And my experience in my hardest times as losing sleep at night is because I was fighting what was inside of me, as in saying like, oh, you should have did this right. And I was like, nah, I did it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everybody has their perspectives on intuition. The Holy Spirit told me that, nah, you did wrong.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You had discernment and self-awareness. You're unique now.
Exactly.
It takes a person to be elevated to get to that place.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
Guess we'll go down the line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm John Q. So, hi everybody. My breakups, like in the past, for me they've all been like it kind of is what it is, because at that I always say you break up like a year before you actually break up. So it's like depending on how long your relationship is, but you break up before you break up. So for me, it's like it isn't so hard, because at the point of when we actually break up, it's almost like a mutual splitting. So I can remember like things that have happened during the breakup, but it's almost like side effects of breaking up, really. So that
really hit me hard. I kind of felt like you were holding the mirror up to my face, and I wasn't ready for that. We really do break up before the actual breakup. And as a woman who, from the woman perspective, or from my perspective, I can't speak on behalf of everybody, I'm very loyal. And I'm much like my cousin, like, I'm going to try to do everything I can to fix, or to, I'm just not going to walk away. It's very difficult for me to walk away. So, and that was kind of like the topic in our past conversation is, we know it's not good for us, so we know it's over, but why can't we just leave? And I wonder if the, from the God perspective, you guys know it's like over, but how much of you staying in it is an effect of us trying to hold on to it, or trying to bring you back in, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you could speak to that.
I think it's, personally, I think it is a big, like, because you'll know if you're with a good woman. That doesn't necessarily mean y'all are good together, or she's good for you, or that y'all work. So the fact that you know that you're with a good woman, you'll be like, well, she is much better than everything else. But it's something like, I'm not getting back there. Let me figure this out about myself. Let me see if I can make it work. Let me see if I can communicate what I need to be communicated, so I can start changing, as well as maybe I can get my perspective understood by her, so she knows where I'm coming from. She knows what's starting to cause me to go down this path. So, but it's definitely... because you sit there and you're like, this woman is a great woman, and I do not want to lose this. I do not want to go back out there and be like dealing with all the other things that are out there. I don't want to go through this whole a whole dating phase, the whole like courting phase. It's like, but it's like, this is something's going on with me. She's trying to make it better. Let me try to make it better. So I think that process happens for a while, and then it gets to some point where it's just like, all right, it's just not working.
I didn't think this was going to be therapy already. Let's put a pin in that. I want to circle back to that. Because I even have personal questions, because that was a good point. But let's go ahead and, Johnathan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Johnathan Simmons. Breakups for me were bad. So I was, especially in my early days. My early days were the nice guy days. So, the way that we grew up, I had my father in the house. So my father, now looking back at it, now that I'm older and I see it differently, but back then I was like, my dad stuck around with my mom. Through all the arguments, through everything, he stuck around my mom. I never seen him cheat, and I never seen him do that, so I'm supposed to do that. And the lesson that I learned is stop taking advice from women a lot on women, because they give you what you want to hear, right? But not what really is the truth.
Okay.
Right? So I know to watch for actions. But, I'm very private with stuff, so I'm not going to share too much of the details. They're really rough. But let's just say that nice guy got destroyed because of women. So, I usually tell women, I said, be careful how you treat men because you build men. The way that you treat us is how we will be. So if I don't think every man wants to be, a dog, or every man, or, a dog doesn't want to be a dog. Sometimes he's a dog because a woman showed him that that's the way he has to be to survive. So for me, I learned that, the nice guy route doesn't really work because of my past relationships and what I've been through.
I think it's so crazy that what you said, be careful. Your message to women is to be careful how you treat men because you're building them.
And also what you allow, right?
You allow.
Because we're watching what you allow. So if you sit there and you allow a dog to be a dog, then we understand that we need to be a dog because that's what women want. That's who they chase after. That's who they keep wanting to go back to is the dog.
And it's crazy you say that to women, and I feel like, I don't know about other women, but I know I've said that to men. Be careful how you treat us because you end up damaging a queen, or you end up... my worst self, parts of me I've never thought existed within me came out because of how a man treated me. So it's crazy we're saying the same things to each other, but the right people aren't. You know what I mean? Like we're saying the same thing because we're with wrong people. You know what I mean?
So maybe the lesson learned there is to be careful what you do to good people.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Because then those good people can then change.
Yep. So I feel like the introductions opened up a lot of topics. And so I don't know if anybody wants to just bounce off of what anybody else said real quick.
I want to say something Johnathan has said. And it's true. Everything you had said was true. And I feel that all that could be prevented from respect for self.
That's facts.
If a woman has respect for herself, a man is not going to approach her in certain ways. If a woman respects herself, doesn't allow certain things, you're gonna see that from the get-go. That's his character. Everybody's character shows who they are inside. So if you are manifesting a character of a thought, then you're gonna attract thought-like dogs. You know what I'm saying? It just goes both ways. Just like they say, oh, you want a good woman, go to church. I mean, that's just a figure of speech because the church these days is crazy. But at the same time, the church is not for perfect people. But anyways, just like that saying is, you want a good woman, go to the church. Why they say the church? Because a church, a woman of a foundation of a church, they're dressed different. They speak differently. They respect themselves and they respect others. And it goes just like that.
You would think that.
You would think that. That's how it's supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
But there are some men, there's some of us that believe that we deserve good women, but we really don't even know how to act either.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
And the way society is built today, it is very hard. Most of us think that we're good too, and we're really not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a good woman. I bought him this, and I bought him that, and I bought him that. But how did you make him feel at the end of the day? You know, when he comes home to you after a rough day, how did he feel? And nobody takes that into account.
That makes me think about what I wanted to circle back with Q's point, because, sometimes a good guy recognizes the queen he's with. Maybe you did get lucky, you found a woman that hits all the marks, but maybe you're not there yet. Because I know I'm in a room full of guys, so I'm giving you kind of like the women's perspective, but in my learning the hard way, and at my age now, I realized a lot of the people I was dating were good guys, but they were still transitioning from boyhood to manhood.
Cool, yeah.
So they recognized me as, I can't let this go, like I can't let her go, but they didn't give up that superficial stuff yet.
Right.
And so, like, I love her, I want to do everything for her, but I'm going to cheat still. Like, that's the part that used to bother me. Like, I never understood how you could tell somebody you love them and then do something crazy like that.
And that goes right back to what I said in my introduction. People are fighting with what's inside of them other than a person. Because
we're all transitioning. Like, there's a point where we transition from our childhood to our like for girlhood to womanhood to boyhood to manhood, but no one is teaching us how to. Mm-hmm. And so if you're only getting your lessons from social media or TV or whatever, you're thinking your manhood is
just being out there in them streets,
right?
Yeah. No, well, I was gonna say, like, we all were good boys. Mm-hmm. Good men. Well, good. Back in the early days, we all were good. Mm-hmm. I believe all the guys go into it with the best intentions. We don't want to treat a woman how we seen our mother be treated. I grew up in a single parent household, where my mom like did everything, and so you start off that way, and then just constantly getting destroyed after destroyed after destroyed, and then you're just like, and this is why I always say, every black man needs to go see like a therapist, somebody to talk to, because we don't have, like, I didn't have a father. Nobody in the hood had a father. So who are we talking to? Who was our influence? Who was an older person to be like, yo, this is like an older man figure? It was us. It was we're the same age, so we're helping each other get through everything. And all we can hope is just to come out a better person at the end, but we never really learn. So we're spending a bunch of time learning and building all these walls that we take so long to break down, and a woman has to come in and start breaking them down, and it's unfair for her to come in and start breaking them down, but then nobody really sees our perspective of why we had to build them. So that a huge lack of communication happens, and then you got to be able to pick up on signs when a guy is letting down those walls. So it may come really subtle. It may be talking about his past. And I always had a lot of women get mad at me when I talked about the women in my past, because they thought I was comparing. And I don't know why women always why they think not comparing. I'm just telling you a story so you understand why I'm the way I am, why I have the train of thought I have, or what it is. And I think if a woman can sit there and listen, that's the key word. That can help you communicate and lower your walls so that you can actually love. Because being that nice guy and being destroyed repeatedly makes you forget how to love. Like, I used to tell women, I'd be like, I haven't felt butterflies since high school. I don't even know what butterflies feel like anymore, but I remember how good it felt. Like, I can't remember how it feels now in my adulthood, but I can remember how it felt then, and I haven't felt it since. Why? Because I have huge walls built up, and it's like I cannot let myself get there because of the result of what happened. And I hate that it's like, oh, I'm blaming the new woman, or the new woman has to deal with what happened in my past, and it's like, you don't really put that on them. It's kind of become who you are. So with that relationship, you start developing, and that woman has to be there for the development too.
And from the woman's perspective, it is difficult. Like, and I'm telling you, like, from the perspective of a black woman, like, being marginalized never having a voice, people never speaking up on your behalf, especially if you don't look like the woman that is protected or honored or given valued. So I'm giving my perspective, being a little chunky, or, having a very round face, just always feeling like I'm always fighting. And then to enter a relationship where you're looking for security and safety, but instead I have to be counselor, teacher, I have to be the one to break down walls. That gets excruciatingly exhausting.
Yes.
And then you have women doing that aren't qualified to do that. So we have a lot of women, like I'm lucky, I might be a bit self-aware, I might be blessed with a little bit of patience, but you have some women that aren't counselors that are going into relationships with that, and they don't know how to handle that.
And it's unfair to them, but I think mental health with men needs to be discussed among men too, like at an earlier age, because I say it on my shows and everything like that, like we all need to see or talk to somebody because of how we came up. And it's not just relationships, it's also environment, it's also family dynamic, it's aunties, uncles fighting, stabbing each other, just the wild stuff you see, and then you I can't trust anybody. And that just it kind of cascades over to different aspects of your life, and
I want to
it's unfair.
I want to put a pin in that.
That's a fact. No, yeah, because I'm definitely feeling what he's saying, because that's kind of how I feel in the same way, and it's unfair, right? But if we really think about it, right, women talk to women all the time, right? Men, we don't talk about that type of stuff to men, right? And if we do,
you get
most likely, because and Vibe could probably vouch for that, most of the dudes that I know or I knew back in the past were hood dudes, right? Or Caribbean dudes. Very, very, very machismo, right?
Yeah.
So they were, and even if I ever talk to my father about it, it's the same way. Yo, man, F that. F that. Man, move on, man. You know how many females out here?
Right.
You know what I mean? Even my father told me, John, if I were you, he's like, yo, I went to a trip with my father to Dominican Republic.
Oh, man.
And he was like, when we came back, he said, you know how many girls were looking at you? I was like, dude, I don't notice that. And he was like, John, if I were you, I would go over there, pick up about 4 or 5 of them and find out which one is the best for you. And it's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is,
and that's why it's really difficult for us.
Men, we have to be a certain. We're supposed to be the tough, and we're supposed to not let things bother us. But truly, deep down inside, like when we shut those doors and we go lay our head down, they're repeating in our head over and over and over, and we're fighting with ourselves, and we have nobody to kick it back to.
Right,
Yep.
right.
That's those walls.
Yeah, those huge walls.
With me, I didn't have. I don't know, man. I never got hurt in that way. I got hurt by I say 2 people in my life, and that's and one of them is irrelevant when it comes on to my wife. And I built walls, and those walls had to be broken down by me. Nobody could break those walls. I don't care who it is. It's only you and Yah that could break those walls. You could build those walls based on just your own personal experiences. It don't even have to be with anybody. You could just see something on TV and your walls being built. You know what I'm saying? It's goes right back to social media. You absorb all this nonsense, and it's building walls to protect yourself, because you don't want to. If you see somebody get shot, you ain't trying to get shot. You see what he went through. So you see somebody that goes through a relationship that's devastating. You like, oh, okay, my wall's being built. I ain't trying to go through that. You know what I'm saying? It goes like that.
I think what you said earlier is it's going to help our listeners that it is, and Q said this already, it's a shame. It shouldn't be our job to break your walls. And we can release some women right now. It is not your job. You said it. Only you as the man can break those walls down. So if you're in a relationship as a woman, like, all right, I got to get to this man's heart. He's not ready, baby. You got to let him go live life and figure that out. I know you love him, but he has to do it. You can't do it. And I want to get to the, because we're on this subject, you have something quick, because I want to, it relates to one of the Instagram questions. So I
think it's a two-way street there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I what Vaz's saying is true, right? But at the same time, unfortunately, sometimes it does for us and it's all about your experience, right? Because my experience was being the yes guy and being so nice, so everything, so whatever. And those women taught me, women taught me to not be that, because their view of a man is to stand up for yourself, be strong, be a provider, so forth and so on. That's what society tells us, right? So if I learned by experience, then from now it's for me to see, okay, is there somebody different that can break that wall and show me that, you know what, you're worth breaking this wall down. You know, you're worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do agree, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to break it yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Of course,
definitely.
And that's exactly what you said.
I need
what
somebody
you said
to
is right,
show
because
me.
You need
if a woman is helping you build that wall,
right?
No, what you said, I just didn't elaborate further, but what you said is correct. A woman has to be there to support, to break that wall down.
Definitely.
And when he's trying to break it down, because he has his partner saying, yo, that's whack, son. Look at this right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you trying to break that wall, and you go home, and your wife is like, where you been at all that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of her welcoming you, making you feel invited. You know what I'm saying? And that helps to break that wall down.
So we don't have to break it, but we could
you
be
You
there
play
to
a part in
support.
it.
Yeah.
You play a part in it.
You could
while
be
you're
the
going
help
through that.
meet.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's what I was saying. It's unfair. It's like, because it's baggage. It's the baggage that we're bringing to a relationship. Really, it's because we have to break down the wall. But through all these years, it's hard to find proof or need to break down that wall. And it's like, it probably exists out there. You see other people happily or whatever, but it's like, maybe for you, like, you know, maybe you'll find it in 10 years, but what you going to do in those 10 years finding it?
Learning the hard way.
So you don't want to sit there and go through a cycle where you're devastated all those 10 years. So you have to have some foundation of a wall and then let down and let pretty much when you find the right person, you can be who you really want to be. You can feel again.
So we're talking about walls and stuff, and one of the Instagram questions I feel like from one of our followers, I think, kind of ties into this. Like, how do you, because you guys kind of put some new perspective in my mind that it's really not the woman's role to break your walls down, but we can be there supporting you while you're doing that work. But how are you doing that work? How are you doing that heart work, you know? So the question is, are you doing the emotional, mental work for yourself? For example, counseling, therapy, reparenting. And what do you guys think about therapy? I know, Q, you brought it up earlier, or other types of, you know, self-work, self-care, self-growth.
I'm all for therapy, but realistically, I don't know how many black men have seeked any kind of therapy, just because it's almost taboo in the culture. And that's what I want to do, is be a voice to kind of change that. And like, to this day, I still haven't even talked to a therapist, or my sister recently has, and it's helped her a lot, actually. But it was like she has insurance to cover it. I don't have any insurance, you know. And so I always talk about, you know, government and keeping you know, having that form of like, I think when everybody's talking about reparations and they trying to pander to the black people, they need to talk about, okay, let's get blacks some form of therapy for the systematic oppression that they have to go through. You know, let them speak to somebody so that they're not being held back by just the deep-rooted
I talk about
madness.
it all the time. Being a black man in America is traumatic. From when you're born till, you know, your whole life experience, you constantly are experiencing traumatic events. And from your childhood to just existing. And then being black with our heritage, I mean, a lot of that stuff is in our DNA, the trauma we experienced coming over on slave ships. So, and we haven't had any justice from it. And as a black man, you're carrying all that with you, and then also experiencing trauma in your life. You just don't see it as it, because it's been normalized and internalized. So when you know people that have been shot in your life, or died in your life, or you've lost loved ones in your life, you've been stopped by the police, stuff that you go through all the time, you never see it as trauma. But some of y'all living, not y'all, I'm sorry, I'm preaching, but you know, black
No,
men
it's
out
true.
here
It's
PTSD.
true. It's true.
You know? And you can't unpack that by yourself.
But we do.
But you do, right.
And we have been, but it's because, like, we don't have any form of guidance. Like, our guidance is us and our friends in the streets and our past.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have anybody kind of showing us a way to go or telling us this is a way to go, or it's not readily available to seek therapy or talk to a therapist or anything like that. It's not something talked about in the black community.
And that's why, you know, part of the show is trying to destigmatize that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I feel that, I mean, talking to a therapist is like talking to your homie. I'd rather talk to my homie than a therapist, tell you the truth. You know,
well, we all are therapists for each other.
Yeah, and I feel
that's how it's been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I can say what you're saying is right. We all feel it, no matter who you are. Like, deep down inside, black men feel it. The world tells us every day that we're not good enough, right? We look on TV, there's going to be some way that the media or whoever shows you, bow, like, hey, you know, you're worth less than somebody else. You know what I mean? So,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. It's so we always seek validation in some form or fashion, whether it's money, whether it's girls, whether it's clothes, whether it's something. Unfortunately, it's superficial, but we always seeking validation. I've sought counseling out before, because there was a point in my life where I was going through some really heavy stuff. So I went and seen counseling because I was like having anxiety like all the time. It helped. The unfortunate thing is that I don't think we have enough counselors who look like us.
Right.
Who go. So my counselors were white.
Right.
So at the end of the day, yeah, they can superficially give me answers to certain things. You know what I mean? They can tell me psychology and why I am the way I am, but can they relate to it? I don't think they can really relate to it.
Divad's point, that's why affinity spaces are so important. You need to have your homies, people you can trust, you know. So you go to your counselor for that education that you don't have, those pieces, the science part, the medical part, the mental part that you don't have. But you also need safe spaces, just your friends, your homies, to be like, bruh, like, are you experiencing what I'm experiencing?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the Instagram question too. Like, what is their job? It's really your job. A job of a woman is to just be that woman, to be yourself, be supportive. Like what a woman's supposed to be to a man is to build her man, not break him down.
Don't support BS,
because
though.
at the end of the day, a man wants to speak to a woman. It's just that those walls are preventing him from speaking to her.
And women have those walls too. So I mean, the therapy point is like we all need it because we have our own trauma.
Yeah.
You know, our own systematic oppression that we're dealing with, and we bring that in relationships. You know, when you get mistreated at work, or, you know, we have horrible childhood of being sexualized too early, being misused too early. So we bring that in relationships ourselves, you know. And so our supportive role turns into a, why you ain't doing this? Why you ain't got this together? Why you can't protect me? Or whatever. And interesting, what you said, Johnathan, made me think of something I learned about Saturday night. I attended a session at our church. Someone came in and talked about human trafficking and the industry that's going on in Orlando, and how we can, volunteer and help support their good efforts. But she brought up an interesting thing. She said men and women are, trafficked, and with women, the way you can seduce or get into a woman's head is that their heart is always vulnerable. They're looking for security or validation, feeling special and wanted. A man can be taken advantage of because they're also vulnerable, but they're vulnerable because what you were saying, they're looking for validation. They're looking for recognition. They're looking for power. They're looking for place. And so you can seduce a young man and say, hey, well, I can give you power, money, if you go and, pimp some girls. You know what I'm saying? So we're both vulnerable, but in different ways. And so it takes us both to do that hard work, to your point, so that we could be supportive for you guys, but you guys have to do the work too.
Right. It's back to what Vod was saying. It's like for men, I mean, if you really look at it, like even since, if you whether you believe in creation or whatever you believe in, God made Eve from Adam from the rib. You're supposed to be our side, right? So we're not even talking to our better half of us about these things, and they're not listening. Both sides aren't listening. You know, one of the great quote is that if you speak, you only learn what you know. Right, but if you listen, that's when you really get the truth. Right, you're learning something new. Unfortunately, when we meet the wrong woman will tell us, "Oh, well, you ain't this, and you ain't that, and you ain't this, and you ain't that." But she's not really listening to what we're trying to convey to them for things to be better. You know what I mean? Like. And a woman shows me, and I mean, for me, like my strength and my backbone is my mom's. My mom's is the one to tell me, not even just telling me, just showing me that, you know what, maybe it's okay to let your guard down in the future because there's maybe a mom there's another person like her out there in the world.
Can I throw, because I got to speak on behalf of all women, I'm going to throw this out. There's a lot of good women out here.
For sure.
But you guys tend to gravitate to the ones that aren't great because of superficial reasons. How much of what you experience is self-induced because you are, and I'm not saying this to you, but I mean, men do perpetuate that Instagram culture. I mean, how much of it is y'all just looking for a particular type and hoping that she turns out to be also a decent type? You know what I mean?
Nah, can I answer? Yeah. All right, check it. It's like this, right? A woman she got to understand that a man has walls. So when they see that specific woman on Instagram, those walls don't have to be broken. But when you see that woman that respects herself, doesn't tolerate certain things, you have to break those walls and be with those women. That's how I feel. You know, you don't have to work with a thought. You just don't. You have to work with a woman that respects herself. That's not going to tolerate you coming in the house 3 a.m.
Right. Okay.
Those walls have to be broken, and that's real hard for a man to do when he doesn't want to do it. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Those walls stay up.
That's the difference of perspective too. Because I'm not the dude that usually come home at 3 in the morning. I wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? But we all like what we like, unfortunately. And that's Jen. You're right in what you're saying, but you got to keep in mind that you guys do it too. You guys have a specific view of what a man is, and then y'all chase that. Unfortunately, that guy's a dog. So it's unfortunately it's on both sides.
It sure
here.
is.
You know what I mean? Again, like I said, if I see a dog,
there wouldn't be a market if they weren't out there. I agree.
Yeah, it's what you allow.
I've never, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me and my homies, like, we look at the Instagram girl, and we already know what it is, so it's like, they are what they are. Like, if you get one, you get one. If you don't, but you never go into it with the idea of a relationship unless you're a rookie in the game. And so I've had a homie who recently had to, against all our advice, we were like, yo, just do it, jump out. He did it, stayed in, and got bought through the ringer. But you, like, your boys are your therapists, but you got to be able to listen to your boys. But if it's there, if it's easy, if it's whatever, and it comes back, why not catch it? If somebody's throwing it, catch it. Why not?
And that's true. That's true what you were saying, because like those certain females you have one thing in mind. Men are visual.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I don't care what woman you are, how respectful you feel that you are, how much you love yourself. When a man first sees you, that's his first thing he's thinking about. That's it. I don't care what you saying. That man, he's very nice. He said that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the woman's job to change the view of that man's perspective on that woman. A man is going to look at any woman and it's physical. It's nothing else. They're not going to say, "Oh, I love her personality."
That's your first mistake.
But it kind of
it's our carnal nature.
I think. Check this out. Check this out. When you first, if you see a woman across the room from a man's perspective, you're looking at what she has on the outside. You don't know if she opened her mouth, she's going to sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
So when you approach her, if the body's right but the mind ain't there, you get in your head like, like, man, I think
Y'all
I'm just
won't
going
do
to
that,
slide.
though.
But women don't do that though.
I know I don't do that.
There's women
But
who
I
do it for
agree
bodies.
That there are people that participate in the superficial game. I think there are a lot of good men who are looking for a good female. But if you look at their track record, it's the same type. They, 120 pounds soaking wet. They look racially mixed or racially ambiguous, light skin with curly hair. They stay posted on the gram.
We call.
And y'all be like, I don't know why it's not working. And, y'all come and talking to me. I'm like, bruh, like you have a history of attracting or gravitating to a type. So you might want to expand what you're looking for, because a really good girl who's learned the hard way. I'm not saying you can't be beautiful and also be, I'm not saying that. So my women out there, like, I'm speaking in general terms, so I don't want to offend anybody. But sometimes I feel like men kind of bring it on. Y'all looking for a good girl in the wrong places, or you're not expanding.
Depends on the stage that the man is in, right? Like you said, when we're younger, yes. So I'm gonna say this. So listen carefully. Take heed of it. Your looks will grab us, but it won't keep us.
Yeah.
Not good men.
Agree.
That's
looks,
a fact, though.
because
Y'all
it's
be running through the rigor.
Not
early.
Yeah.
In our early
Courting.
days, yes.
Courting and stuff.
Yes, because unfortunately, as men, we are visual creatures, right? Like he said, our carnal nature is to look for the most desirable woman that's there. If it was up to us, we would impregnate the world, right?
No, seriously.
It's a fact.
And then that wouldn't be
It's
enough.
a fact.
That just wouldn't be enough.
But we look at you,
And we're looking at another world.
It's bad that I say this. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It's in our nature, right? We look at you, we look at a fine woman, we're like, man, she takes care of herself, she looks good, she's a good person to breed with, right? Then it's who she is that makes us stay there or leave. So if you're a person who's not physically, I don't know why. It's just something in us that says, you know what, this woman is going to be healthy. She's going to be able to breed my children. They're going to be fine, and that's how we look on the physical end.
I'm not saying date dogs, like, you know what I'm saying, like, like I'm just saying, what is your definition of beauty and physically attractive?
That changes per every person.
That's different for everyone.
And then because I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking on behalf of my dark skinned ladies, my round ladies, my super tall ladies, and I'm not saying that they can't. That guys need to look for ugly chicks. Like, and I'm sorry that we even have to talk like that, but we having a homie moment, so y'all got to deal with it. But just, I think that there is a problem with men having a Eurocentric, idealized concept of what they think is beautiful, and then searching for that and missing out on opportunities of finding black queens that are actually beautiful, but you're stuck like with a particular image in your head of what you want.
There's a link that's missing, though.
Can we get really deep?
Because
Really?
there's a link that's missing. Because if you think about it, a woman feels that they could keep a man physically. Y'all have to understand, especially what Johnathan said, there is no way that a woman could keep a man physically. It's impossible. So there has to be a link that's missing, because women feel that that's beauty in how they appear on Instagram. And that's where it's missing. There's something not adding up.
Well, that I agree with.
Because beautiful, to me, and I could speak from a whole nother totally different perspective, because I've been married for this long, 17 years, and this is a whole nother level of what I'm talking. You understand? But beauty is to be yourself. Be yourself. Be confident with who you are, because that's what a lot of women will ask me, like, oh, how he got with such and such, and look at me, I'll look better. It's not about what you looking like. It's about your beauty. But it's about your confidence.
And I love that perspective. I wish more guys were elevated.
But it takes him to be married to be there. I'm not there. I'm not gonna lie.
Seriously.
No, that's facts. We're on a podcast, so you want me to be 100, right? I'm not there.
Get some growth,
unfortunately, I will. And women do it too. And if they say they don't do this, they're lying. If they don't say that they look at a man and they are automatically judging, because I've seen women who look at men. They'll look you from top to bottom. They'll look at your hair. They're gonna look at your shoes. They're gonna look at what how you carrying yourself, and we do the same thing.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing is women. They look at your print.
They do.
Look at your print.
They do.
No,
is that
they
real?
Do.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
I have not.
That's true.
Come on, yo.
I've seen it. I didn't think you did it until I seen it.
I still don't even.
I've seen it.
And if a woman haven't did that to you, you ain't around certain women.
And it's one reason why I know when I go out with Johnathan, like when we go hang out and stuff, he's very much like, because you're kind of introverted too. Like you hate when like a lot of girls like approach you.
I don't like too much attention.
He hates it, and he's frustrated by it all the time. So I know that you experience it firsthand. That a girl will size you up and down. Not all of us are like that. But to your point, I agree. Yes, we do it too. I'm the type of person, if you can't hold a conversation, I'm
the same.
Johnathan will tell you. My
Same.
dating record, they've all looked a little off, and they're all different. Because what captures me is I'm very attracted to talent. So if you're good at something, I'm already like, oh my god, yes.
But you don't see talent right away, Jennifer.
No, it's a conversation and tell me what you do.
Yeah, but
what's the first thing that you see?
I'm different from every other female you have seen who's talked to me and I've held a conversation to.
I always say,
yeah, you are a little bit open, but at a little bit too open sometimes. But at first glance, there's something that attracts you to that person. Yeah. Yes?
I tell the homies.
I think I have to agree with Johnathan.
I tell the homies. I'll be like, a woman will know. A woman in 5 seconds, a woman knows if she'll sleep with you.
Yeah.
5 seconds within meeting her, whatever, a woman knows if she'll sleep with you.
And if you're a woman like me, I'm always nervous. Like when a pretty boy is around, I'm usually like, I can't do it. I already know. I already assume who you are, what you've done, and all that. And that I do because of my own experiences.
But that's wild, and I'm a DJ. Every girl's like, DJs get a lot of girls. And I'm like, no, they don't. And I'm going to tell you why, because every girl thinks DJs get a lot of girls. So every single girl's like, you got a lot of girls. It's like, no, I don't. I'm too busy to talk to any of them. So I'm up here doing what I do, and by the time I'm done, everybody's gone. But y'all talking about we got a lot of... but they already put that on you instantly. So then it's like, well... where can I meet somebody? Like, I can't. We won't
trust the DJ.
I've
dated quite a bunch of DJs and musicians. I don't trust not one of y'all.
I've hidden that I am a musician to women before.
Yeah,
that I do music.
Reason?
Yes,
I could see that.
Well, sure, we'd be judgmental because people can say like I'm not gassed on my own juice. I don't. You know that. You know I'm not like that, right? Okay, roll your eyes if you want to. But if you sit down and hold a conversation with me, right, you understand that I'm different than most. So should we treat everybody as what they look like, or should we treat them as individuals? Therefore, if we're going to do that, then the physical is important as the emotional and the intellectual.
But maybe the lesson here is to make sure that we're factoring in everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take it back to our Instagram question. Our wonderful producer Shania was looking through some. We're going to try to do at least 2. We got quite a bit. Which one did you pick for us? Oh, okay. So we have a question from Miss Tommy Michelle 27. She asked, "What are your deal breakers when it comes to relationships?"
This is going to be different.
Relationships or dating?
Yeah, this is going to be different for everybody.
Okay, so let's do both. Let's do the first one, dating, and then we'll do another one for relationships. And I think for the relationship one, it'll be like, what's your deal breaker to jump out of it?
I think us two will probably have more perspective on dating, where Vod would probably have the relationship part of it, because he's been married for 17 years. It's going to be
let's do that
different.
Then.
Do you want to go first?
Deal breaker in relationships.
Go ahead.
Go first.
Let's try to keep it light and fun for the Instagram questions if we can.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We don't got to get all therapeutic.
Just like I said, I was married for 17 years, but it wasn't together for 17 years. So I was out there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, deal breakers for me, dating wise and relationship wise. Relationship, just like Johnathan said, relationship wise different. So I'll just expunge on the dating. hygiene. That's one. I mean, this is a broad.
I hate having it laugh,
Hygiene.
but it's so important to say that even
that's
from
the
a girl.
number one thing.
Like number one.
Yeah, because in a man's mind, it smells. It's like, yo, she smells good. That's the one thing that a man is attractive to a man. Just intellect itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got a girl that just doesn't know how to. I mean, just stupid. There's no other way. That's how I grew up. There's no other way to say it. It's like, because it's not ignorant. She knows what's right, but she continues to be ignorant. So that's stupid. Mm-hmm. When a girl just ignorant and a low self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's my three things that is just like a turn off.
Hygiene, not stupid, or if they are
Ignorant.
ignorant, and
Not ignorant, because you can work with ignorance.
Yes, you can bring somebody into enlightenment.
That's
you can't
tough.
deal with
Ignorance
What
is just
level of ignorance are we talking about?
Ignorance is a fact of not knowing.
Right. If I tell you and I teach you and you change, I can work with
Stupidity,
that.
But if they don't listen,
stupidity is knowing, but regardless of knowing, you continue to.
That's stupid.
Okay.
Stupid.
All right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's my three things right
What about you guys?
But you know you don't know, so you stupid. You're not willing to learn.
So for me though, confidence is a huge one, because with what I do, she has to have some form of confidence, because I understand like being able to keep her confident, like, yo, you're pretty, blah blah blah, keep her confidence up, but it's like I can't do that every day. I don't have the time to maintain your confidence. A deal breaker for me, if you got nothing going on, I can't rock with you. Like, you gotta have goals, you gotta have aspirations that are bigger than just laying on your back. Because a lot of girls be like, I just got the fire, I get whatever. And there's a lot out there. That's the hot girl summer. That's the But you got to have stuff going on. And you just, I guess that fits with like go-getter mentality and everything like that. But you also got to have uniqueness about you, like a unique personality. You got to be, and that's confidence too, because it's like you got to be confident in being you as a person. So a lot of what would break it for me is if lack of confidence, low self-esteem. Let's see. Hygiene is huge too.
But you
and
want
if they have no
vision,
goals, yes,
like goals, yeah.
So that's 3.
He about to preach. Don't preach. I'm
not gonna preach.
Rapid fire.
Like Steve Aoki. Mentality is big for me. Again, you can be fine, and then you talk, and all you can talk about is something on Instagram, or you talk about the Kardashians, or you talk about, I that's a deal breaker. You're done. You're done. Like,
conversation
and your vocabulary too. Big. I've seen some fine women, and you talk to them. So what up?
Yeah, I can show you.
Like, yo, don't
text.
talk to me.
Yeah.
That's a deal breaker for me.
I can show text saved about that, man.
Yeah, man. I hate it, man. Like I have to be able to relate to you on some level. Mm-hmm. So to be able to do that, unfortunately, language is going to be the first part of it, right? That's what the language is first, and then I can understand you emotionally after that. But if I can't talk to you, forget it.
Yeah.
It's a deal breaker. But unfortunately, physical part is a part of it too. Like, I'm going to look at you and I'll be like, we have this mentality of, just take me as I am type of thing. But to me, if I'm looking at you, I'm saying, well, you're not willing to grow. Yeah. You don't want to grow. You just think that, the way that you are right now, I even me myself, even at this age, I think that I always have room to grow, room to improve. Mm-hmm. My physical, my mental, my spiritual, everything. Mm-hmm. So if you you're not supposed to be where you're at, and you just stay there and just say, well, he just need to come and accept me, forget it.
And I can respect the need to want to feel proud, like to have someone that looks presentable and likes to look good and smell fresh. And so it's not that I think you're terribly superficial.
That's That come from my mom too. My mom told me, she said, "You bring a 300-pound in, I'ma beat her with a stick." She instilled that in me, and maybe that's probably wrong.
Okay.
But I dated big girls.
Everybody's preference is different, though.
Yeah.
But I run races, right?
There's somebody out there for
I don't want to go down this road.
everybody.
I was just saying I agree with you. You want to feel proud with whoever you got next to you.
But if I'm growing and you're okay just staying there,
I got homies.
I want to grow.
I got homies, and it's dope hanging out with him because he wants all the biggest girls. Like, he wants them. That's what he likes.
That's his preference.
He's 6'7", like 200 and something pounds. Like, but he's not. It's not fat.
Man.
But that's what he wants because he's like, I like them. I like it.
And my boy is heavy set. He's big. He's a big dude, and he likes them bony. And I hate them bony.
Me too.
They out there on Twitter, they be hitting me up the wrong kind of way, but they out there with their preferences.
Yeah. It's,
I like curves.
Right.
Don't lose your curves.
oh yeah, don't.
But don't be sloppy either.
Yeah.
This is from Instagram from Do Rise. She says, "Does humility come up in men's discussions as it pertains to manhood at all?"
No.
I don't think so.
No. Not at all. I don't think we ever discuss humility.
Yeah, no.
We don't discuss be humble. We discuss to be a man. Like, yo, suck it up and be.
Put the Band-Aid on.
Yeah,
it.
ain't no
do
humility.
that.
It is what it is.
So
Not with no man.
I mean, is that missing in y'all conversations?
Y'all teach us that.
Who, women?
Yeah. Women teach us
Give
humility.
me examples of the women in your life that have taught you humility.
Even strangers would teach it to us. If we trying to holler at a female, you get shut down.
Yeah.
You think you the hottest thing in the world. That's going to teach you humility. When you get into a relationship thinking that you own it, but the woman stands up for herself and she says that's not going to happen, that's bringing you down to a level.
Yes.
That's humility.
I think the only way
Experiences
a man
in
will give
life,
you
yo.
humility
Facts.
is if he beats you up.
Oh, no, hell no.
Nah, if another man gave you,
No.
If a man beats you up, that doesn't show you humility.
make you humble.
Oh, another man. I thought you were talking about a woman. I thought a man beating a woman. I said, bro, no.
Can a man? Yeah, that's. That's the only way a man can show you.
When you getting owned.
Or it's something competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
become
you
owned.
smash me in basketball, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be humble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
no,
ain't
no,
nothing
facts.
else I can say. That's the only way that a man can humble another man.
Right, but women
Yeah, but
women
it's the
humble us
woman's
more
job.
than anybody
Your
else.
mother may be your first stop at it. Really.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
your mother. Cause my dad, nah.
Nah.
My mother, yeah,
Uh-uh.
yeah.
My dad called me all type
Can
of
we
junk.
talk
He never
about
did
that?
that.
How do mothers teach humility to their men, to their boys? That's interesting.
I mean, physically,
Hard to explain. That's funny.
we know not to do certain things to our mother.
yeah, and that's kind of like
We'll try our father.
I can explain more about my dad.
Yeah.
Like how he couldn't show humility to
Right.
me. You know, it's like
your mother will
test
slap
men.
you in the mouth
Okay.
if you say something wrong. Like your mother will yank you up in the store.
And because it's your mother, you know.
Yeah, you can't
Right.
buck.
So it's
Even without that, even if your mother's not that type to smash you in
Yeah.
your face for whatever,
You still gonna
doing it because we seek that. We seek a certain affection and certain things from women, our mothers, right? And we don't want to lose that. Like, it hurt me when my mom started talking to me. My father stopped talking. Man, go on about your business. I can fight you right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my mother, and I think that speaks volumes of how important a woman is. You know what I mean? Like, I know not to speak to my mom a certain way, and I think the same way should be for the woman that
That's
I'm
what
dating.
my father always taught me. If you really want to see, like, if a relationship is compatible, study how he treats his mother. Because that's either how he'll treat you or how he thinks about women in general.
Sometimes not. I'll be honest with you. I think my daughters, I have twin daughters, 9 years old. Those two taught me the most on
About humility?
about how to treat a woman.
Oh, how to treat a woman.
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah, yo. Oh,
I don't have any.
gosh.
I don't have any
I have a
kids, but that's what I
2-year-old.
hear.
Yeah.
I have a 2-year-old
And
girl.
that's a long.
man.
That's a long time to learn that lesson, though. Like, till you have kids, like thinking about the amount of interactions you've had with women up until that lesson.
No, but seriously,
I've been learning the
what
hard
Johnathan
way.
said, like, and it's we never stop learning. Okay,
Yeah.
a woman can always look at the relationship of a father that's in his daughter's life, and that relationship, and see how that daughter treats the father.
Yep.
That's exactly how the
How
woman
he-
should treat the man.
And if there's no
Exactly.
father, if she's a daddyless daughter, be prepared for work.
Exactly. Yeah,
Be
of course.
prepared for work.
Of course.
Of
course.
Yeah. I can vouch for that. That's true.
All right.
course.
I have an anonymous question that was sent to our survey. It'll be our last one. What's your initial reaction when a female companion asks the question, "What are we?" In terms of the relationship status?
It depends. It
Why
depends.
are you over there giggling?
because we all get this question, and it depends on what you had in mind going into it. Because sometimes you can be straight up and just be like, "Yo, I don't really have time for a relationship." You'll say that day one, but a woman, they want to change it because they challenge themselves to change that.
I am
so
guilty
then
of that.
after 2-3 weeks, they're like, "So what are we?" You're like.
I like that challenge.
What
boy.
we are, what we
I am
were.
guilty of that.
Like what? Like what? Like.
And let me tell you what's going on in a woman's mind at that point, because we want, especially if you're a daddyless daughter, we want someone to see us and be like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life." She's totally changed my mind of what I thought I wanted, and we want to hear that. So it's like, it's not like we're looking for a challenge, but it's like it'd be
That
really.
makes a lot of sense.
But isn't that seeking validation?
No,
And we're
seriously.
seeking validation.
It makes. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It makes a lot of sense because that's exactly how my life went. And I used to understand, like, I used to tell, like, just like I told y'all, my whole marriage wasn't always together with my wife. So those 5-6 years that we were separated, I did my thing, and I did my thing hard. Especially, I got married at 20, all right?
Yeah.
As soon as I turned 20. And that's the time when a man is doing his thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I used to tell women, it's like, yo, I'm married.
That don't matter.
I'm not trying to be in no serious relationship.
Yeah.
No, serious. I'm not trying to be in no relationship.
Facts.
But
I used to tell them, and for some reason, they thought they could persuade me otherwise.
They want to be that one that
That's
changes.
why I
makes
wanna-
sense
That's why I want
to
to
what
give you
you
the
just said.
perspective. Yeah, it's not like we're stupid.
That's amazing.
But when you have, when we're constantly looking for validation, and Disney teaches us that we're supposed to be princesses.
Disney.
You know what I'm saying? Or we come from households where we don't have a father. Whenever we enter a contract, it's like we know what you said, but we're hoping that you just see that we're special.
And it doesn't mean that you're not special. It just
No.
means like we in a position in our life where we know
Take a man for his
this
word.
is what. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My grandmother would say
man
that.
knows what he wants, man.
Yeah, that's the lesson I had to learn the hard way too. So I know for some of the women that are listening, I mean, really study your patterns and where you're at right now. When a man says something, I mean, it's not to say that you're not special, but understand that that's not his season right now. And so you have to find your own validation within yourself and recognize you're special within yourself and that you don't need someone else to articulate that to you. And also, if you're listening and you're a product of the product of divorce or a daddyless daughter, let me tell you right now, you got work to do on your own before you start entering contracts and relationships.
Please.
And that might take counseling or therapy, and it might mean editing your friends, because your girlfriends are going to tell you how to live a life, live this city girl summer thing. I don't know what it's called, but
Hot girl summer.
And because they have daddyless daughters too, so you might need advice from somebody else, or you might need to go to a therapist. And there's nothing wrong with therapy. John Q and Johnathan mentioned how much they are trying to destigmatize that, and so that when you hear a man tell you, "This is what I'm looking for. This is where I'm at," you're not subconsciously doing other stuff.
Don't tell us what to do. To work with me. Like, I hate that. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, if I'm coming to you, as a person, I mean, especially if you're my partner, I really want you to listen first.
Yes.
Please just listen to me. Then from there, support me. So some women just want to give me the answers right away, but really, when you're thinking about just giving me the answers, you're not really listening. First and foremost, you're thinking. If you're really, really listening to what I'm saying, you're going to know the right things to say.
Can I tell you something? If you ever find a woman that listens, she honors you.
Yeah.
Honors you.
I'm in a group chat.
Instead of trying to prove herself.
She honors you.
I hate that.
I'm in a group chat of 20 dudes, and one day I was like, I think I had just got done talking to like a girl about something, and then I went in the group chat. I was like, "Yo, has any woman ever listened to you in your whole entire life? I got so many no replies. Like, I was like, actually listen, or did they fight you for everything you were saying? And most, like, all of them said no. Like, I'm not talking about your mother, because obviously your mother listened to you, but I was like talking in when you're dating or in a relationship. I was like, did they actually listen to you?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
And all of them said, you know
It's
what?
a fact,
no.
though. It is.
And women, when they say, listen, this is what they're talking about, that when you've heard what they've said, it shifted the paradigm in your mind or the conceptual framework in your mind because you've trusted their word and that you've actually validated their voice. Not, I'm going to listen in the moment and still do whatever I want to do tomorrow, or still bug him tomorrow, or still, in my back of my mind, still believe what I believe. So imagine a world where there are black men on this planet who have never had a woman listen to them. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
This is the sweetest thing. Let me tell you. This is, to me, I'm just speaking for me, but I know somebody out there agrees. This is the sweetest thing, that when you talk to a woman about a specific topic that's deep or is important to you, and she says nothing, and then at the end of it, she just hugs you and just kisses you and just holds you real quick. To me, that was like the ultimate, because I really didn't need your words. I just needed your support at that moment in time, right? Yeah. I didn't need you to tell me, well, you ain't doing this. You know what I think you should be. Nah. She just said, come here. And then from there, I'm like, damn, I have a woman who supports me. I'm a man up and I'm going to get this thing done. Because I know that this person, she knows, she made me feel that I'm important to her. Yeah. So therefore, she's important to me, and I'm going to make sure that I protect it.
And imagine the courage it takes for you guys to be like, here's my vision. Mm-hmm. Like, that's coming from a vulnerable place. Like, here's my vision.
Don't ever knock it.
Don't laugh at me. Don't try to help me. I'm just sharing my vision. That takes a lot for a person to reveal. And sometimes, like you said, Jonathan, all you need is someone just to hear you and hug you after, or say, yeah, that's dope. No other commentary. Even
if it's sharing your past. Like, and I've said it earlier, I was like, sometimes I would share my past with a woman and they would get mad at me. Right. And that's what I mean. Like, they don't, that's why I asked the question. It's like, have you ever had a woman that listened? And it was like, all of them said no, because the moment you talk about your experiences as a black man in society, in the world, it's somehow they take it personal. Even maybe it's your word choice. So like, if you're just going out, you like, man, all these women out here, they blah blah blah. This is what this one girl did to me, blah 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 blah. And you're kind of like letting it out. It's like, I don't understand why they take it personal, because you're obviously not talking about it.
Because we end up talking on behalf of the whole.
And they'll tell you this, and you probably heard this before too. Oh, it's just the women that you date.
Yep. And then it's like, it's
that
just like,
shade.
and it's really just like, well, everything I said.
No,
for real. But for real,
because they all say it. They all say it. That's just some women that you date. They're not really listening, because we're giving you the roadmap. We're really giving it to you on how to break this down, and you're really thinking of, well, let me how can I combat this?
How can I show him myself?
That I am different than all of these other females?
Yeah,
come on, man, you're not listening.
All right.
Boom, there we have it. Wrap the show up.
On that note. Jonathan brought it full circle. Okay. But on that note, I just think we've done a lot of I just really appreciate y'all being here and like this conversation.
I'm glad to be here.
Same.
I love that you guys had an experience to be able to share with each other, but I also learned a lot.
You're gonna need a part 2.
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna need some backup next time. though. I can't be the only one in the room. Some of it was a little therapeutic on my end, but I also hope that you got to hear. I can't speak on behalf of all women, but at least my perspective of on a black woman's experience. But I think this was really great. I wish we had more conversations like this across the sexes. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today, for being with us. And we'll see about that part 2, though, John, for real.
Yeah, you can get through half the questions.
Yeah.
It's important. That's the reason why. Yeah. It's important.
Welcome to the Black Woman Be Well podcast, hosted by yours truly, Jennifer Tomlinson. Black Woman Be Well is a podcast dedicated to the discussion of health and wellness through the unique perspective of Black women. Whether you identify as Black, African American, a woman of color, or a woman of African descent, etc., or maybe you consider yourself an ally for Black female wellness, maybe you want to know more, or simply just want to show your support, you have a place here. Don't forget to subscribe, rate our show, and leave a comment to show your love and support. And feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Be Woman Be Well. That's the letter B, woman, letter B, well. Also check us out on YouTube and subscribe. Exclusive video content will be shared there, so make sure you click the notification button to get our new content when it comes out.